hosts, hosts. Hello and welcome to Platos Cave, coming to you from Australia, the land down under, for Revolution Radio on Revolution Radio. That's right, easy to find, easier to use. So if you get a chance, go to the website and donate, because this is listener-funded radio. Follow the bouncing ball, real easy. And the station is very grateful, as are we. We don't get paid, so no, Dave and I are not getting any of your cash. Don't worry about it. We're doing this pro bono, gratis, for free, and like doing it too. If you can't donate, and any currency is good, including crypto, by the way, then simply tell people about the station. Tell people about the show. In fact, if you see us out in the wild, and I know a lot of us have seen us recently, so thank you so much for that. Subscribe, like, comment, share, all of those wonderful things, yeah? If you can. It really helps. It certainly helps Dave and I. We've been doing this for a long time now. A long time. I went through our archives the other day. So if you can support us in this fashion, that would be awesome. We've got some really awesome comments, which I will get to in a second, in these last few days. But you can listen to the station and all its shows, including ours, on pretty much any platform, any app, any device out there in the world, including a Gray's Tabletop Digital Radio. And you can have that in the comfort of your own home. That's right. Now, before I tell you that I'll tell you first. The archives are free. So it's not a good reason to support the station. But before we start broadcasting at you in anger, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which both Dave and I are broadcasting. And for Dave,
it's the Dark and John.
Thank you, sir. And for myself, of course, the Dark people. And with that, I would like to thank elders past, present, and future. Dave, how you been, brother?
Well, terribly relaxed. And excited all at once. I was at Bathurst enjoying the great race. And if you're from anywhere in the world and you've not heard of it, look it up. It was something else. Had I think 2 point something million viewers on one channel alone. And it's a place that's on the top of a mountain, right? And it's a place that's both cold, hot, dry, and wet all at the same time. It's like Melbourne. A lot of people brought the weather up from Melbourne because that's 4 seasons in one day, and you get that. So you're sitting there and you're getting burnt by the sun, and the next thing you've got to put a jacket on like you're going skiing, and just to try and survive it. So hypothermia would be a thing if you were, you fell asleep on the ground drunk. But you camp. There's a hotel down the bottom, but no one does that. Only the super wealthy. But I'll tell you one thing. One thing that has made the world news and it's gone viral. From the weekend, Chaz Mostert, he did a cylinder in his car. He conked out on Conrod Street and just parked it right before the chase. You don't know what these mean if you've never heard this before. It's a street track which closes for the race a couple of times a year. It does special events, but there's all houses down these roads with driveways and letterboxes and everything. And iRacing, and it's been laser scanned, including the mailboxes. It's tremendous. It's all been modeled. So Chaz gets out of his car, and instead of waiting for like the medical van or someone to come past to pick him up during the safety car, he just wanders up, and there's a guy that's been there for 30 plus years, and his name is Robbo. Everyone knows Robbo. He has parties there, and he has a 2-story decked out little grandstand for people to watch and drink all day, all week. And so Chaz wanders up to Robbo's house, and within 5 seconds of him getting there, someone's run up to him with a beer. And he's just gone and sculled the beer, and that's fantastic. That has made a new hero, Meki. The former the former hero of the mountain was Peter Brock, but I think we just found a new one.
I'll be honest.
Nowhere
None
else
of
in
this
the
means
world would that
anything.
happen. Nowhere else in the world.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm I'm a complete newborn when it comes to anything motorsport. I will freely admit, and most of what you just said was just me being a dog and Frasier and going blah 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 Mackie blah 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 blah.
Or was
that's what
Peanuts? Wah 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 wah. So anyway, it's a pilgrimage to get there every year, and there was no arrests at all for the whole week, which is great.
That's
because then it goes back.
That's
then
awesome.
Bathurst goes back to normal.
No mass graves either. I gather.
No. It's not Gaza. Not too soon.
It's not Gaza. It's not.
So it's not an orphanage from like the 1800s or anything, but so the world has changed in the week that I've been away. It's changed in a good way, I think, and in a bad way, I know. And I just watched the NATO EU summit with all the people talking, and it doesn't sound like de-escalation. Everything sounds like escalation. Everything, no one's stepping away from the precipice. Everyone's getting kind of more angry and protective of their ground. And I've got to ask you this, and I saw this on a YouTube clip today, and it was, at what point do you call it? So you could use that phrase for anything at all, but as far as calling something a disaster, or calling something, I don't know, genocide for that matter, or calling something, an act of war, what do you wait for before you call it? And a tremendous example was if you have a child of your own who is getting a bit too deep into drugs, and it'll just a phase, they'll get through that. What point do you call it? Do you call it when you have to call the ambulances and they have to go clear and do a heart start? Or could you have called it sooner and acted upon it sooner to not get down that far deep down the path? And I think that's a really good analogy to each of these ever escalating tensions around the world. When do you call it?
We are, look, put it simply, we are bless you, we are a species of procrastinators. So let me give you an example.
I'll get back to you.
Nothing ever gets done unless it has to get done, right? Yeah, nothing ever gets done, ever. Like, not ever. I told you the story about the overpass. Or, in fact, whenever you're near an overpass, right, which is a pedestrian crossing over a busy street, like a bridge, I guarantee you somebody died there.
That's right.
Okay? And maybe even someones, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, anybody could have told you this is a dangerous place. And you could see it, and you see the traffic, and you see kids or whoever run across the street, and something is going to happen sooner or later, but nothing has happened. So we don't preempt anything. We procrastinate, and then we are sort of in the business of fixing it posthumously, right? Like after death.
Posthumously, yes.
That's who we are as a species.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we are as a species, right? And ultimately, this is appeasement all over. So, look, Gaza is coming along, but the funny thing is this: so ceasefire was declared. The Palestinians moved back into Gaza, and already Hamas is fighting local people, local clans people, for power within the territory. Right? That's already happened. People were killed. People are being killed. Hamas is not going to disarm. So they had the ceasefire, and bear in mind, this is not a peace, Yeah, this is not a. This is just a cessation of hostilities. That's what we have here. Ceasefire.
It's a
It's not a
ceasefire. Right.
peace deal. And a lot of it hinges now on the return of the dead Israelis.
Mm-hmm.
If the Palestinians can't, hand them over, find them, and I get it. They may very well be buried under rubble and all that, right? But by the same token, the Israelis could see this as a violation of the ceasefire and start fighting again. And I said this before when you were in Bathurst. There's no way that the ultra-right conservatives in Netanyahu's government are going to give up on the war. Okay, they hate nothing more than peace-mongering. Okay, and this is what we're seeing here. This is not over. I hate to say it.
Mackie, unless of course, building commences and everyone's profiting from the building.
Not yet. We're not there yet, and I'll tell you why. Greater Israel is an ambition that these people have, the ultra-nationalists. Greater Israel includes Gaza as well as the West Bank. You have to understand that, right? This is now one of the key items. And the ceasefire is completely, how can I put this best? It has completely played into Netanyahu's hand. And how is this? All living hostages have been returned. That was a big thing for the Israeli people. Stop the war, bring the hostages back. Well, he's brought the hostages back. Now, he's tried to bring the dead hostages back, and you could argue that's some have come back, but the others may not come back because they're buried under rubble. They just can't find them, full stop, right? But it's enough to start the war again. And now the Israelis themselves, they really have nothing against that war specifically anymore. Sure, I mean, from a humanitarian point of view, I mean, Palestinians will suffer, but the Israelis have the hostages back. Hamas has no more bargaining chips. This was it. This was it. This played into Netanyahu's hand in a beautiful way. And that's why he agreed to it, right? I got the hostages back. Freaking awesome. Not only that, and this is, a lot of comments were for one specific clip, where I said how great it is that 2,000 prisoners have been released as well, Palestinian prisoners, right? 20 hostages and 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. I got a lot of, and I did, it's like 5-6 comments just on that saying, no, those aren't prisoners. Okay, they are hostages. Now, I did some digging, and the truth is this. Very few of the Palestinians that are imprisoned in Israel actually had a trial. Right? If any. And, well, yeah, they're not prisoners per se. They were just taken and imprisoned, which, by rights makes them hostages too. So there was a release of 2,000 hostages rather than prisoners. Because, again, to be a prisoner, you have to enter the prison system, and you do that via the court system, which finds you guilty of whatever crime, right? And then you're in prison. Most of these hostages, if you will, the Palestinians, that were imprisoned in Israel didn't have a trial. They were just arrested, rounded up and arrested, and thrown in jail. And there's still thousands more. Thousands and thousands of people are still rotting in jail. There was some really disturbing comments coming out of what happened to the people that were on the, the Freedom Flotilla, the 50 boats that were with Thunberg and the others. There was talk of significant violence, of torture and things like that. Forced to sign release forms and so forth. And I think there's still a German lady who hasn't signed the form because she doesn't want to, and she doesn't agree with what it says, whatever that might be. I don't know, right? But essentially, this is pretty serious stuff. And in the past, like I said, people were killed on these kinds of boats that tried to bring aid to Gaza, and there've never been any weapons found or anything like that. These have always only ever been, humanitarian kind of convoys, if you will. Comes to Ukraine then. Not a peep. You were in Bathurst, and even before, there wasn't a peep that came out of the White House about the Ukraine, and Russia for that matter. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. And Putin has gone and bombed and intensified his campaign, now targeting railway lines, killing more and more people. And Donald Trump has not imposed any sanctions, hasn't done anything. Nothing has happened. Like I said, it wouldn't. Okay, so two things, right? One, I think the Gaza situation is going to get worse again. It may go back to live firefighting very soon, in my opinion. And secondly, Ukraine and Russia will keep fighting, and Russia will receive no admonition. Well, maybe some words. They might receive words from Trump, but so what? But there will be no concrete action against Russia that will be taken by Donald Trump. And you know what? Something that's interesting, Dave. In our feed for the site, a lot of people are now starting to say that Israel and Russia have the goods on Donald Trump. Like this is coming from all over the shop now, from all over the spectrum, not left, not right, but everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Like I said, Charlie Kirk, for example, you might have heard me say that Charlie Kirk was questioning October 7th itself and how it could have happened and things like that, right? And now other people are coming out and saying, yeah, look, everything that's happening, everything that's going on, Donald Trump essentially does whatever is good for Israel and seemingly whatever is good for Russia. And still, this, tariff debacle, people might have forgotten, but Russia is the only country in the world, and that includes some penguins on some Arctic, or rather Antarctic island, not Arctic, Antarctic island, that didn't receive tariffs. Russia is the only place that didn't receive tariffs. But the penguins did, Dave. The penguins were slapped with tariffs. Someone said to me,
"Have you been on a call with those penguins?"
Dude, they're sending me faxes every day. Those penguins, but I don't read penguins, so anyway.
No, that's
but someone, which I thought was a silly thing, to be honest. That this must be some kind of secret harbor where a lot of exports and imports are being smuggled into the US from this Antarctic island. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to say anything, and I will tell you after the call, after we have our show here, who actually said it. You know them. That's why I'm not saying it on air. But I thought to myself, there's no government on this island. There's no one that can be tariffed. There's no entity that will pay a tariff. There are no human beings. And if it's a secret smuggling harbor, I don't think they're going to pay tariffs either. Okay, so I'm not sure what goes on in people's minds, Dave. But I'm starting to despair. I really am.
Well, I'm watching it with my popcorn, but I wanted to tell you something. there was a young fellow, I'd say probably 20s. I was talking to him the other day through work, and I said, that digital ID thing, and he goes, the Save the Children, yeah, that's the one. How come I said, how come the children don't need to ID, but the adults have to? He goes, what do you mean? He goes, no, I'm talking about the ones that are overseas. And I said, what? You don't know about the 10th of December? And immediately got his phone and goes, just starts reading the headline. And he goes, I didn't know it was happening here. I said, well, yeah, it's happening here, but little bits are happening all around the world. And once they're all successful, hello, digital ID, digital currency, expiring credits, UBI, all this. And he goes, how do you know so much about it? I go, I've got a podcast. And he goes, what is it? And immediately we got a subscriber. Immediately. Right? And I said, you just tell all your friends, because I think it's really important. No one knows. The media is not talking about the fact that adults in Australia from 16 and up must, on the 10th of December, whether it works or not, at the 10th of December, and because it's the government, it's even less likely to work on the date. Like if you've ever done any project work with the government, it just goes right. It just keeps going right, and you turn the page and it's just got an arrow to the next set of pages on the timeline. So whenever it is that it finally gets done, although they're announcing the 10th of December, it is the moment that no one can say anything without retribution. In England, you can't repost someone else's post because it may, in the future, offend someone. Now, you could make that a self-perpetuating conspiracy. You could make that happen. You could make it an eventuate just by softening people so much that they become offended by everything. Or you could harden them up by giving them more exposure to things and using an education system that says, you know what, you might hear things that offend you, well, that you don't agree with, but don't take that as being offended by it. Understand what it truly means and then seek an alternate way of thinking. Then absorb all of the information and then choose which you want. That's what Gen X did. We had to do that for everything. And we've abandoned that entirely. People are too soft. And it doesn't matter what you posted, 25 years ago. They'll find it. Just like if there's someone running for an office, a government office somewhere, and they'll find some tweet or a post on Facebook that you did 15 years ago when you thought different way. You don't think the same way for your entire life. You morph and change and go with the times. You take on new information. It changes the way you think. And I know Meki and I have done this to a certain extent. We didn't believe half the stuff that we've researched is connected. There's not a chance if you talked to us 25 years ago and said, "Oh, Dave, Meki, if you think that this and you don't think that these things that are all connected," and you go, "Don't be silly." Now we do. So look, it was great to be able to have a conversation with someone who thought it was happening everywhere else but here. They know who they are, and I'm not being terrible to you, to be honest with you. It's just this. People always believe JFK wasn't, the killing wasn't done by, what's his name? The moon landings were a bit iffy. 9/11 was a bit iffy. They're all on the nose. All those official stories were on the nose, and besides all the other things that have been redacted over time. So, because there's a general mistrust, which they've taught us to mistrust them because none of them are honest. You ask them a question, they give you an answer to a question you didn't ask. So at which point, Meki, in this future, post December 10th this year, will it be, in which condition will it be? Will it be they've done the right thing and toughened everyone up? Or they've just continued to allow us to get softer and become more pliable?
It'll be... do you remember the movie Demolition Man?
Yes.
Okay, so for anyone out there in the world that doesn't, it's a Sylvester Stallone movie. It's actually pretty entertaining, but the premise of it is he and his nemesis, played by Wesley Snipes, pre-prison Wesley Snipes, they are both found guilty. He's a cop, Snipes the criminal, and they're both sentenced to cryogenic prison for 50 years or whatever it is, right? So they're imprisoned, and Wesley Snipes in the future escapes. It's the year, I don't know, actually it's 2025 maybe?
Sure.
2040?
There's irony.
Yeah, I know. And so they wake up Sylvester Stallone as well, and he doesn't recognize the world. Everything is electric cars. There was a huge earthquake which destroyed a lot of Los Angeles, which, where this is set. And people are very woke, and you can't swear, you can't eat meat, you can't smoke. So essentially everything you think you have a right to do, you can no longer do. So living in a nanny state for all intents and purposes, right? And everybody is soft, and everybody's easily offended, and everybody's very, very naive. So you can imagine like a hardened criminal from the 90s or 80s of LA, right? Being let loose in a society like that is wreaking havoc. So my answer to you is this. what are the benefits here of either scenario? Let's say we do the Gen X thing, we harden everybody up, and everybody is responsible for what they do. And if you fall down, you pick yourself up. You apply some band-aids and keep on walking without crying too much. And if you lose the race, and if you lose the race, guess what? Run faster next time. Okay, or and this makes you a fairly resilient person, right? Or we will create a whole bunch of ninnies. Then they need their mother to wipe their bum and their nose and cry out every time they're treated unfairly or think they're treated unfairly. I can tell you right now, the parasites, the machine prefers the soft cogs in the machine, the soft, and gears. That they will work for a while, and when the machine gets too hard, they'll break, but then get new wheels. It's all good. None of the parasites have any interest in creating resilience at all. And this has been going on for almost 100 years. It's been getting worse, right? It's been getting worse, but it's gotten really bad in the last 30 years. In the last 30 years, in the Western society, I'm talking about now, right? Because if you are living in a developing country or in a country where you don't know what you're going to eat tomorrow, you don't have time to worry about any of this. You are resilient. You are hardened by nature. But if you live in an affluent society where things are given to you on a silver platter, let me tell you, we have mollycoddled and smothered the conflict and life out of our kids. It's if you win, you win, and you should celebrate it. But if you don't lose next time, if it doesn't bother you, fair enough, right? But don't expect to be a winner as well when you're not. Okay, I'm sorry. I hate that. I'm okay with three conditions. I know. But yeah, that's my answer to your question. I think being offended, and we're already there. People are offended by everything. Yeah. Dave, I mean, it's incredible. Oh, you can't do this. No, you shouldn't do that. Oh, this bothers me, and the other thing bothers me. And it's the only time it seems that people have agency, because we have so little power in our lives, right? When someone does something wrong, oh, they're smoking near my table, or they're mowing the lawn at 4 a.m, or whatever, something ridiculous. I can come down on them like a ton of bricks. That's why I've got power. I can make them feel my power, right? That's why people are watching, the neighborhood like spiders. And for any infraction, your hedge is 5 centimeters too low. Whoa,
it sounds like the homeowners
baby.
association.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, look, that's where we are, Dave. I think very much we have chosen that path. It's always been chosen for us. I choose to toughen my kids up a bit more with constant sarcasm, and I will celebrate victories, but not. Oh, I came 52nd. Yay! No, sorry. You win or second, or my youngest daughter just won the soccer cup here in the neighborhood. The Greystanes. Yeah. Oh my, not her team, obviously, right? It's a soccer competition. My other daughter, she did extremely well. Her writing was chosen for a national school spectacular thing. So they turned her and two other kids writing into some kind of stage production. I think it's going to be nationally broadcast or something. But you enter something, you compete, and you do well. You know what? I will celebrate with you. But if you don't win, that's okay. That's not a problem, right? It's really not a problem not to win. If you don't care about it, well, maybe this is not for you. But if you care about it, then try harder next time. Otherwise, what is the lesson here, Dave? What's the lesson?
I don't know. Personal best is still good. Because that means you're getting better. Goodness me.
Completely agree.
I don't know where this cough's coming from, but that's all right. So, from
your liver. Straight from your liver to your throat.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So, so I haven't really run any news stories alongside what we're talking about. I
That's okay.
I did a couple of Gaza ones, but to be honest, not so much. I did have one story here, and it's archaeologists have discovered 1.5 million-year-old hand fossils in Kenya. That's gonna take it back, isn't it?
Are
That's
they
gonna
Homo
take...
sapiens?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Nice.
it says in short, the bones suggest that their owner, a species called Paranthropus bosi, was capable of making stone tools. How 1.5 million years ago? That's pretty good, but it looks like an opposable thumb to me. So good for you, whoever
look,
you were.
that's right. But the thing is this, right? And of course, and we have said ever since the show came on air many moons ago, the timeline, all timelines for civilization, for the age of Homo sapiens, for discoveries, for certain technologies, etc., is being pushed back further and further. I mean, I spent a lot of time on the Boogosphere last week, which apparently was dated now to be 12,500 years old, because they found some resin inside one of the crevices, and of course that puts it right in the Younger Dryas. So my speculation was this: we know about the installation in Siberia, which seems to shoot down things that harm us, and might even have shot down the Tunguska object in 1908. That might have happened. The other machines, I think, still operational from that time, from the last civilization, or maybe even the civilization before that, like in the Bermuda Triangle, in the Devil's Triangle, in the South China Sea, and this Boogosphere, right, which might be one of many, might still be part of an automated something system, right? Yeah. Now, the thing is this: the thing apparently reacts to Sanskrit hymns or verses, right? There seems to be some kind of. So now to say this is some kind of alien sphere is complete nonsense, right? Because clearly it's here on Earth, and if and some of the writing is interesting and looks like it could be certainly something that came from us, as well as the very fact that it is here and the timeline to 12,500 years. But that it would react to Sanskrit. Now, Sanskrit, if you don't know, is one of the ancient languages from which, for example, Hindi came, German came as well, interestingly enough, and a few of the other Indo-European languages. It's no longer really spoken by anyone, not terribly many people, right? So it's thousands and thousands of years old. Also, it's a very elegant language. It's almost like a perfect language, if you will.
Oh.
And yeah, so it may well be a language that evolved out of whatever language existed or languages 13,000 years ago in the Younger Dryas, in that civilization. So, and this goes that a lot of these things that we see, not all of them, of course, but I think a lot of the UFOs and the spheres and other things, I think these are automated systems. They're still functioning. Right? Now, some are malfunctioning. I think that's why there's so many crashes. But it makes no sense, and bear with me here, unless we talk about time travel now, interdimensional travel, it makes no sense to continue with cattle mutilations at all. It makes no sense. It also makes no sense to create crop circles. And we do know that they're glowing lights, and might be these spheres, for all we know, that create these crop circles, right? And there's a very clear telling signs as to which crop circles are real and which are not. And the real ones show signs of microwave activity, which change the plant in such a way that it doesn't break, but it rather bends, right? And it still grows, by the way. In a real crop circle, the plant is not killed. So it's not trampled down. So in my mind, it's sort of forming now as part of the hypothesis and the proof of ancient cultures. Part of the phenomena we're observing may very well be part of an automated system that was never switched off and which only now functions haphazardly. It doesn't really have a purpose anymore, right? it's just there. It's like, if you've got anything automated, right, and it just goes through its motions because there's no one there actively controlling it potentially, right? I'm not saying that's everything that we see. Obviously, there are other phenomena, obviously clearly interdimensional or time or extraterrestrial travelers that come here as well. But I do believe that a chunk of the things that are happening on this planet are part of an ancient automated system or systems, a network of systems, or and clearly one of the or the purposes of that system were, I think, defense, and I think communication, maybe even entertainment for all I know, right? And certainly some medical research and specimen collection potentially, maybe even after the Younger Dryas catastrophe, to see what happened to the surface species. That's my opinion. So it's fascinating stuff. It really is. And I think we will learn more and more, or well, if we're allowed to. Not, I mean, what if we find all these things, Dave, right? And then they just get buried again, like Göbekli Tepe. What's the point of that? You're on mute, I think, buddy. No, can't hear you.
There you go. Yeah, I think it just depends on who buys it. So, looking at Blue Black Rock. So, if you decided to shut it all down and, wait, what was it, a century or something? Until they allow that to be dug up again. I don't know. There's got to be something behind it if that's going to be the case. They wouldn't do it just offhand. But then why would you plant taproot trees on a site unless you wanted to disturb it? That doesn't make any sense at all. You wouldn't even plant shrubs. Just leave it bare, leave it the way it is. Because, taproots, you find it goes down and finds little cracks here and then gets bigger and then pushes everything apart. And so nothing's ever going to be intact then. Yep. So I was watching a thing today, and it was about the lost Egyptian labyrinth. It looks like they might have found it using some of their LiDAR and ground penetrating radar. And if you don't know what it looks like, this is an artist's impression, and it goes way back. But without revealing the video itself, you can just look it up. It would be tremendous if they've located it. But it's in that whole quadrant around Egypt that they scanned the whole lot, intentionally trying to find it. The only person who's going to deny that its existence is... What's the fellow's name? Head of archaeology?
Oh, Zahi Hawass.
There you go.
Dr. Zahi Hawass, my special friend.
Yeah, he's history's special friend, Meki.
Yes, he is. He knows all about it.
all about it. He gets upset when people bring new information that sort of upsets the apple cart, as far as, like, what's this Göbekli Tepe place anyway? I've never heard of it.
Hey, Bob, have you heard about it? Bob, hey, I'm talking to you.
So that special radar found things beneath the three pyramids in Egypt. There's an extension to that which has now possibly found the labyrinth. Those little tiny pots, those little tiny ones, maybe a couple of inches tall, that must have been worked on a lathe because their accuracy is within a couple of thou on a rotation around it. But then you couldn't do it because it's got solidly connected like little handles. Really nice. They're really nice, but you couldn't put it on a lathe and work it in such a way to be able to create it. So there must have been a technology that was able to work it, because there it is. It's another one of those. Well, here it is. Well, that's impossible. No, it's not here. Look, it's here.
there are artifacts, and to your point, there are artifacts around the world, and these tiny things. There's also in an Egyptian museum. There's this, or maybe South American wheel, like a steering wheel kind of thing, but it's made from stone, but it's machined so finely,
and it has the edges curled. Mecky.
Yeah, exactly. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, totally.
We actually can't machine it. That stone, we can't work the way it was worked. We can't. And other things as well. The right angles in the Great Sarcophagus, for example, inside the pyramid, or again the scoop marks that you see everywhere. But also the finer things, like your little and there are obsidian tools and pearls that are so small. We're talking about micrometer now, right?
Wow.
They're on a string, and they're so finely worked in the machine that we can't do it today. And this is always something that bothers me a lot, because we look at these things, right? And no one ever says it, by the way. If you go to a museum, labels will ever say we can't replicate this today. It's not going to happen, right? Because they don't like doing that. But I can tell you that there are a lot of things, right? Artifacts, large and small, especially small, that we simply cannot replicate, and we have no idea how it was done. Okay, there's this chalice that changes color depending on what you pour into it.
Depending on the liquid, yes.
And we know now that this is nanotechnology. How do we know it? Because we analyzed the glass. It's got nanoparticles of gold and other substances in it that seem to react with each other in certain ways to produce certain effects. Nanotechnology. Okay? So forget microscopic stuff. This is stuff that you can't even see under a microscope. This is electron microscope stuff.
Wow.
And I find this, and this is not made up. I mean, anybody you can do your own research and go online or get some books from the library and read up on it. There are things out there that they don't make no sense. We can't do it. What I recently learned, Dave, and I didn't know this before, it just popped into my feed, which was great. Science mysteries. I'm always on the lookout for science. I say, it's my thing. I like to know about science and all the things science can't explain yet, etc., etc. But essentially, there's this layer of the Earth that's missing. So let me explain to you. It's called the Great Unconformity. Okay, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's a clip I'm going to share with the chat and yourself as well in a second as soon as it comes up. So here we go. The Great Unconformity. It's just nuts. I mean, here we go. Let me copy it. 1 second. And it's several 100 million years, right, that are missing from the Earth's geological record. So there's whatever billions of years, and then there's something else. But in between, there's 400 million, 300 million, 500 million years missing. And the funny thing is, just before the Cambrian explosion. Now, to let everybody know what that is, the Cambrian explosion saw a multiplication of life like we have never seen on this planet. Like it was just like life exploded onto the planet. All the species and different things in the water, on the land, it was just, everywhere, right? But before that, it looks like, several 100 million years. This is across the globe. This is not on any specific continent. This is a feature that we find all over the planet, where there's just this massive piece of our history missing, and nobody can explain it. So I'm going to put this into the Elements chat in a second. Here we go. Have a look at that. It is just 5 kinds of amazing. Right, here you go. I'll put it into the. See if you guys can see it. Dave, you can have a look in the Revolutionary chat there as well. Geology's biggest unsolved mystery. Right, and you have to ask yourself, if that is a thing, right? How much more is missing? Do you know what I mean? How much more? And the thing is this is not 1,000 years or 20 million years missing. this is hundreds of millions of years missing from the geological record. Right?
One of geology's
The Great Unconformity. I think it's called the Great Unconformity.
So it is called
It just,
Great Unconformity, and I've got the
that's
wiki
it.
page up. So if someone was
Perfect.
interested, they go and have a look at that. There's another story here from Live Science that's saying about the same thing. 1 billion years of geologic history is missing from the Grand
in the Grand Canyon. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Uh-huh.
It's like, and the thing is this: you don't learn. This is the first time I have learned about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Germans do nothing if not overeducate. We never discussed this in geology. Maybe it wasn't, or geography, I should say. Maybe it wasn't known at the time. Maybe they hadn't found out about it yet. I guess that's probably the most likely explanation. But it's just it's just unbelievable. And with that, there are other features as well. There's this carbon layer that goes around, like black ash, which goes around the world everywhere as well.
Yeah.
So and again, nobody likes to talk about it because it plays havoc with the steady state theory, right? Can't have that, because clearly something catastrophic happened to wipe away geological features in the Grand Canyon to the tune of 1.2 billion years, but elsewhere to the tune of hundreds of millions of years.
That's right.
What?
It's like there was maybe for 100 million years or more, there was a glaciation which ground everything off, and then after it went away, just guessing, then the layers continued then to be formed.
Yeah. Again, they're bringing a lot of. Glaciation is one theory. They also have, what do they have here? So the exact causes debated. Hypotheses involve a combination of erosion from periods of glaciation, such as snowball Earth and mountain building events related to plate tectonics, etc., etc. But nobody has come up with anything. Now, but this is also important to understand. The boundary is surface erosion. Okay, it represents a period when a former mountain range was uplifted, then eroded down to near sea level before being buried by new sediments. Okay, so be clear, this is not something that was removed inside the geological strata.
Mm-hmm.
It was eroded from the top.
That's right.
When
it was the top.
When it was and one might think potentially fairly quickly, speaking in geological terms, right? This is just, and you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the 98% of the universe that's missing. Of all the stuff, like we look at us so proud. We are so proud, Dave, walking around like a peacock, right? Oh, I know all these things. I'm so smart. Hurrah! Good for me. And then the truth is, we don't know anything. People
said that about the firmament. I'm done.
Yeah.
And my whole universe ends at the firmament. Done. We're good. We don't even need to know anymore.
No. But one thing that bothers me a lot, they're talking about the moon missions and sending people to the moon and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, we're not sure we can do this. No, this is happening, right?
That's
right.
Right.
Just astounded. But we're not sure how to get through the Van Allen belt.
That's right.
What? You've already gone through the Van Allen belt, you said.
Sorry,
you already said you did.
So who? What? So NASA's own press secretary said that they don't. The amount of lead you would need on the spaceship would mean that it was cost prohibitive to send anyone to the moon, because if you want them to survive, they've got to be shielded. And so we can't go through the Van Allen belt, he said. To the amazement, the astonishment of the interviewer, who didn't ask a follow-up question, was just left with their jaw hanging. Like, what? Yeah.
It's a career-ending follow-up question. And they said so. So this is the funny thing when it comes. I know.
We lost the technology, Mickey. That's the other phrase.
That's it.
That's it.
We've forgotten. We've lost the math. We've forgotten the tech, and not only that, we no longer have the original tapes of the moon landing either.
Yeah, what did you
so
do?
None of
those?
that exists anymore.
Oh, we wrote over them, or we threw them away.
It was a nail biter. It was an NFL game. We taped over to get over it, right? It's like, what?
But that was your wedding video.
But these are fundamental things, right? And I know we've gone far afield here in our discussions, but the truth is this. When don't we? There's so much out there that we just take for granted. We just take it as read. Okay, well, we don't ask the question because that would be stupid. But no, you know what? It is never stupid to ask a question. Never. Okay, if you have a question in any circumstance, in any setting, I guarantee you, if there are other people around, right, at least 80% of the people that are there with you have the same or similar questions.
That's right.
That you have. But we just don't ask them, right? Because, we don't want to look like idiots. But you know what? The experts look like idiots when you start asking your questions. So how does this work? Oh, I don't know. How does that work? I don't know. Where's 98% of the universe? I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, why is 1 billion years of the geological record missing? I don't know. How do we get to the moon? I don't know. Where the missing moon? I don't know. What? What happened here? I don't know. So don't ask me. Stop asking questions. Because the thing is this, right? And I hate to say it. But I think a lot of people find refuge in academia that are not cut out for the real world. It sounds terrible, right? I myself was contemplating a path in academia many years ago, which didn't, obviously I didn't take that, but I think it's a safe place because once you're employed by university, especially if you get tenure, that's safe. You're safe. You're safe as houses. And you work on your theories and such, and that's awesome. I mean, we should gain knowledge all the time. But the problem then becomes is that you sit on your knowledge and it becomes your Bible. Right? It becomes your totem of reality and truth. And anybody that goes against you, is the enemy. Right? Someone with a new idea or an idea that is very different becomes a person, a persona non grata. And that's dreadful. That is really dreadful, but I think that's where we are, right? And it's a state of knowledge and science that knowledge and science never really wanted. We should always follow the science, and we should follow where it leads us, not the other way around. Because a lot of people, I remember we talked about this, Elizabeth Steen McIntyre, people finding things that aren't, in line with the official story. Their careers are destroyed. It's a real thing. People, there's no knowledge filter, Mackie. There's no knowledge filter. Doesn't exist. Really? Is that right? No knowledge filter. No. There's no self-censorship. No. Really? So how much anti-gravity research have you done? What? How much anti-gravity research have you done? Oh, we all know that's a nonsense. How do you know that? Oh, that's common knowledge, Mackie. Don't be stupid.
Everybody knows that. Mackie, I've got my one was I learnt it through The Simpsons, and it was with Superintendent Chalmers and Principal Skinner. And it says, "Good Lord, what's happening in there? Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen. Yes. May I see it? No."
Yes.
See, that's the perfect example of control of information.
That's gold. I love that bit. I really do.
That's one of my funniest sketches.
Oh, brother. But it is, though. It is. May I see it? No. That's the clincher. That dad is...
The whole kitchen's ablaze. It's on fire.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And he's like, I should go.
But you're right. That is the perfect example of what that is. And we're helpless in the face of it because your character will be questioned. The ad hominem attacks will increase, like we've seen with Cremo, and we saw it with Lloyd Pye. We're seeing it with Graham Hancock. All the people that dare ask the question. I think that's the music.
here's
Okay.
the music.
Damn, that came quick. Good to have you back, my brother. You've
Thank
been,
you.
Glad you enjoyed Bathurst. That's great. Now, don't touch any dials or whatever. Stay at the station. Something awesome's going to come up. This has been Platos Cave. Thank you so much. And if you see us out in the wild, like, subscribe, comment, share, etc., etc. And most of all, Dave,
Be safe, everyone.
Thank you.